Welcome to the Growth Cartel's weekly update with Brandon Burns and Reese Henderson.
All right, welcome back to this new format of the Growth Cartel, a weekly episode dropping every Monday where we talk about what's made news in the world of business, entrepreneurship, not just here in Australia, but also abroad. Brandon Burns, your host, Reese Henderson, how are you?
Very good.
Now, you guys have probably heard a few of our episodes already, but what we wanted to do is bring you something that's really kind of, an update in your pocket. You don't have to listen for 30, 40 minutes. Get in and out in 10 minutes, get what you need, find out about what's making news in that tech landscape, and then be on your merry way to doing what you do best, which is growing businesses and making lots of money. So this episode proudly brought to you by Petona.com.au. Obviously, that's where I work, but it's a ripper company if you want to make your funding go further by moving the needle with resourcing. So if you've got resources that you want to send abroad and really make the most to get your tech company flying and being even profitable, Petona is your destination. So Petona.com.au. Who's our other sponsor, Reese?
Full Face Consulting, and we are a team of fractional experts helping businesses grow, scale, and transform faster.
That's all right. LinkedIn, we'll find you there. Okay.
Find me on LinkedIn.
First question I want to ask you is, mate, we've seen the news Bonza has just gone, belly up, tits up, really. And it's not the first cheap airline provider to fail in this weird, small, but very sparse market that is Australia. What the hell's going on there?
Yeah, it's another corpse in the graveyard of Australian aviation, or trying to get competition into Australian aviation, where it's really just been two players for a long time, and post answered, I guess, if you're enough to know that. It's just Australia, we have the tyranny of distance, and there are only a very few profitable routes here in Australia, and they're incredibly profitable. You think Melbourne, Sydney, one of the most profitable airline routes in the world, but outside of that, it is very difficult to get the unit economics to stack up in terms of launching a competitor brand to those existing airlines, because there's just not the volume of traffic.
I look forward to the next person who has a go, but does it properly. Because, mate, those destinations where people were booking last minute, affordable, let's go to Perth or Broome for the weekend. Let's go to far north Queensland. And those spots need tourism dollars the most.
Yeah.
And they are some of the most sought after destinations that clearly got hurt during COVID with international tourists. So for me, it's like, we need to do everything we can to encourage Aussie domestic travellers to go and see their own country.
Yeah.
I think we can't just rely on internationals, and so that carrier that comes in next, and let's hope there is one, is going to be critical to making sure they actually have a proper run at it and they get it right.
Yeah, and if you look at, I'm going to Bali in a few weeks, so $850 return. I couldn't go anywhere in Australia that's more than a couple of hours flight with my family that would be anywhere near as price competitive as that. So that's one of those things that you have to look at. I'll price up a family holiday, and it's cheaper to go to Fiji or Bali than it is to go to Perth, which is just crazy. And I did see pretty topical over the weekend in and around social media potentially being, not potentially, can be very, very damaging. And Jackie Lambie came out and made some incredibly strong statements around that, as she does. And I always admire people that have strong opinions, whether I agree or disagree with them.
Well, here's the thing, right? We've got kids who use social media. Or probably not, what I would say is we've got kids sub 11, 10 years old who use technology. So what I would say is she's proposing that, and so are some of the tech companies, right, they're pushing back as elbows, even saying 14 needs to be the age before you're allowed on social media. Now, I don't want to be one of those people or parents that says, hey, they're going to find it, they're going to do it, they're going to be on it anyway. But I actually do think there is some merit in this. And I think mainly because kids use technology to access other platforms that they don't have access to via others, if that makes sense. So my kids will sit there and watch a TikTok reel that's been pre-recorded and uploaded on YouTube, which they do have access to.
Yeah.
So, because kids are smarter, and I think what they're really trying to say is we don't know how to limit people, and in particular minors' exposure to tech time. So we think the solution is they can't go on social media. When in reality, I think it needs to be an effort from parents and adults in that scenario to really commit to not only limiting their children's tech time, but also limiting their own.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, mate, but I find that I get in the scenario where I'm using my tech and my kids using theirs, and it's convenient at times because it occupies,
Yeah.
But before you know it, time just evaporates.
It's addictive by design.
Correct.
That's the genius behind some of those products. It's not good or bad. It's just this is the way we consume content now, and we'll continue to consume content. And I think the solution is in and around education and trust. And I take the same strategy with my kids as I do when I'm, going into businesses and coaching and mentoring leaders. Is that it's about trust, empowerment, having conversations and saying it. I say to my kids all the time, I trust you, but I don't trust complete strangers. So I want to know what you're doing online. I'm not going to stop you going online. I might limit it and explain to them why I call it junk food for the brain sometimes. And I am just as bad as they are sometimes in terms of...
Well, Jackie Lambie likened it to meth. And it's like, I don't want to discount the power or the hold over a young person technology can have, but I don't know if that's a real leap, because we all know that is, and I'm no expert, but that is a real complicated, and it's a physiological, it's a drug that's taken in the body, and I understand that too much tech can release, a dopamine or too much serotonin, that it can be a thing. But, I think, irrespective of whether that's actually a good, likable video, it's important that it seems to be a bit of a groundswell around the issue. US thinking about banning TikTok. Our government's now trying to get stronger on it. Adults like us notice it as parents. So something's going to have to come to a head soon, I would hope and think,
Yeah. But then, in terms of technology, I've used it for some really, really, really good things. I mean, unfortunately, my mum's got incredibly bad dementia now. She's permanently in care. And I was able to then go online and help my young boys and show them cartoons, because I'm like, how do I explain this to them? It's just, amazing educational pieces. My eldest loves Roblox and Minecraft, things like that. So, he's done a Baiju coding course, those types of things. Those things wouldn't have been available. So it is good and bad. And so, it's not black and white.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily agree with the strength of Jackie Lambie's opinion, but I think it's great that people have strong opinions either way, and we can have this healthy discord to say, there's so much, we live in the information age, which is so powerful and so empowering for everyone, but there's a bad side to everything, or a side where you have to have caution as well. So
totally.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you, we see in the news nearly every week that the most recent startup or scale that's raised has got a .ai domain. They're in the business of AI predominantly, or they're touting that they're driven predominantly by some form of innovation or head start with a form of AI.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, can you still raise and be a part of the crowd that's really attracting all the funding that maybe fintechs were 2 or 3 years ago, if you're not an AI business?
in terms of a tech business, I don't think you absolutely must be an AI business, but what you must have a very clear picture on and have a very coherent story around is how and if AI will disrupt the area we're going into, and how you plan to manage that. So obviously the vast majority of businesses going into any sort of data technology, AI is going to play a really important part. So you just have to have a really clear lens on that, because investors aren't going to invest in a business where they see AI being a huge risk in terms of, taking out or taking over that industry. So you don't have to have AI in your business, but you have to have a lens on it. So, and I would encourage all founders or businesses looking to raise to really, really stress test your business in terms of what AI can and can't do in terms of disrupting it.
Well, I did read an article recently where it said that most employers are now placing the ability of a potential candidate having an affinity with AI and being able to use it and being familiar with it as a real plus, even ahead of other elements.
Yeah.
That to me says, my God, this really is the type of thing that you just can't ignore. So let me ask you, mate, we've all been there where we've felt overwhelmed, or we don't understand this new technology or concept that's out and everyone else seems to be talking about it. And you kind of almost get to a point where you feel a bit left behind, that you go, you know what, it's too hard, I'm not going to bother. So if I was to say to you, you were talking to someone who was overwhelmed by not understanding AI beyond asking it to write a piece of content for social media, what would you say to that person about how they can expedite getting familiar without worrying about being an expert?
Yeah, and I guess I'm a self-professed sort of AI enthusiast. I was a data geek, so I get excited about these things. I'm not a coder. I'm not going to sit there and have a really deep, narrow conversation with a data scientist, but I can sit there and talk about concepts and things like that. So what I'd say is I always look at it and say, those really mundane, boring tasks you have to do that they're high value, but they're low complexity. that's where AI has been. It can make you so much more efficient. So some of the consulting assignments that I've done recently, I probably would have had to bring in a junior to help me out, but I've been able to use AI to do a lot of that laborious work, whether it's writing a policy, it's doing a job description, writing content for social media, all those types of things. I just encourage everyone to get in and have a play around with it. So I mainly use chat because I've got the paid version and I've got a lot of my chats loaded up. Just go and have a play. It's not scary at all. It's designed to be incredibly user friendly. So,
yeah, totally.
So I have to ask you, because I came in this morning and you had this smirk on your face and you told me I need to ask you about your Amazon delivery on the weekend.
Well, let me ask you, have you ever had an Amazon delivery on the weekend?
Yes.
Okay, well then I'm probably obviously a laggard here, but I find it incredibly weird that on Sunday, Mother's Day, right, I had an Amazon delivery come to the door. My kids yelled out, someone's at the door, they've delivered something. Doorbell went, and it was an Amazon open, not sealed, and a book inside that I and it came on a Sunday. It was almost like someone had just placed the book in an Amazon pouch, not even bothered to seal it, and delivered it on a Sunday, which was both confusing but also exciting to think that, are we heading in a direction similar to the States now where all bets are off? You can get something 24/7 within hours. And I reckon what's happened is, right, there's an Amazon dispatch centre in the regional city of Geelong where I live now. And I reckon what's happened is they had a bunch of stuff that needed to go out and they probably stressed and thought, oh, fuck, we've got to get it there for Mother's Day.
Yeah.
But I just find it weird that I've got something delivered opened, not even sealed, on Mother's Day from Amazon. What's going on there?
Yeah, I don't know about the open and not sealed. I can't.
So it wasn't opened by someone. It was just never sealed. It was like this beautiful new sleeve that hadn't even been peeled to stick.
Feels like that might have been a mistake. But in terms of, I mean, they have revolutionised, delivery and supply chain and got that down to a fine.
Does that mean a subcontractor is working for Amazon?
Yes. Yeah.
And he or she can deliver whenever they wish within a window as long as they get it done.
But we've had instances where it's, we're sitting at home on a Saturday morning and we've got one of the boys has got a party the next day and we're like, I don't know if I could go down to Southland and get some Lego, and you get on Amazon and you're like, okay, it'll be delivered tomorrow morning. You get it within 24 hours and you haven't even had to leave the house. So,
Did it come built?
Not come built.
Anyway, that was my weekend story. Hey mate, before we wrap, what's exciting you in startups tech? What do you want to share with the crowd before we wrap up?
What's exciting me? I guess I went to Sunrise 2 weeks ago, which is the amazing festival held by Blackbird. Some incredible startups there in terms of the Start Make Demo Day, some great chats, but also my friends at Lisa Sai at Airwallex introduced me to. And they put together Airwallex for startups. I'm just looking over here. So that's an amazing program where you can get. I'm an advocate. I used Airwallex in Cogswallow, the business that I sold out of last year. Amazing product. They've got some great benefits in there. So anyone who has to do staff cards, payments, FX is outstanding for. They've got a whole heap of benefits there. Go and check it out. I thought that was really exciting, or something that really excited me. It is
cool to see, because that category is the one that needs the most encouragement and support as possible, because we all know how many businesses fail when they start within the first 12 months. We all know how hard it is to put it all on the line and go be a solo or co-founder of a startup before you got product market fit, before you got customers. So to hear that Airwallex is really putting back to the ecosystem, that's really cool. I'm going to check that out as well.
And it's great. I mean, Aussie startups, supporting Aussie startups, and one use case, I was trying to get a staff card issued from one of the big four banks. It's got the yellow. And after about 6 hours, I went onto Airwallex and I had a virtual card issued in minutes. I was like, okay. And so I'm an advocate for the product. So
unreal. All right, Reece Henderson, Brandon Burns. Episode proudly brought to you by 4-Phase Consulting. Check them out on LinkedIn. Patona.com.au. Check us out on the web, or you can jump and connect with Reece and I on LinkedIn. This is the Growth Cartel. Hope you enjoyed our weekly digest. We look forward to seeing you next week. And by the way, if you're one of our listeners, send us a question. We'll answer it on the daily digest each week and see if we can get a bit of engagement going with you all.
And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Happy Mother's Day.
And if you have any swag you'd like me to wear, I love swag. Send it in and we'll give you startup a plug.
Bye guys. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Growth Cartel Weekly Update. Please support us by liking, subscribing, and sharing our content.